Good morning and welcome to Facebook Live. Um, it is October 9th. It's a little bit after 11 and welcome to the University of the Ozarks. Um, I will not tire of saying it's a beautiful fall day in Clarksville. I know I've said that the last couple of times that we've been together, but it's a beautiful, beautiful fall day here in Clarksville. So welcome aboard. I'm going to spend a couple of minutes sharing with you some updates. And then, as customary, I'll take questions when we wrap up. Feel free to write a question or a comment in any of in the comment screen, and we'll respond to those here at the end. So, as I mentioned, it's absolutely gorgeous outside. It feels like homecoming, and it's homecoming. Um, well, it's homecoming as best as we can do in the era of COVID. So, what does homecoming look like for us? We've had a series of events that range from Ozark Speaks early in the week to students painting pumpkins last night to acknowledging who the nine homecoming ambassadors are. Um, Nine is an odd number, typically two per class, but then Sade is returning and leading the pack as a returning ambassador. So you'll see that information in all of our social media feeds. Um, Last night we did a virtual alumni reception happy hour, and we started the celebration of the 50 class. Those are alums that graduated 50 years ago. And it was the feeling of the folks who were able to join us last night that they appreciated that we celebrated them yesterday, but they'd like to reserve the celebration to next fall and come back and then celebrate it face to face. It was fun to listen to a few stories, and the stories ranged from folks who had been here last year at homecoming to someone who had said they hadn't been back on campus in 40 years. They'd gone to their 10-year reunion, but hadn't been back in 4 decades. And then we just sit back and listened as folks who have been back started talking about the campus and the opportunities and the joy they have that when they're able to walk the campus mall and be with each other. Um, one of our key remaining events for homecoming is tomorrow, where the Alumni Association and the university will recognize amazing people that have come before us and that have left their mark not only on the campus but the community and the world. So I hope if you can that you'll join us tomorrow night virtually for the annual awards program. So a couple of other things that are kind of with homecoming, kind of not, that we haven't had athletics on campus since March, and we have our first two athletic events tomorrow. Now, is it an athletic event if no one can be there face to face and watch? Well, I think so. So tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning will be the first athletic event, and it is an inter-squad meet with swimming. And you can log in and you can watch it, but there will be no one on the pool deck. They're not even inviting folks in to do timers. So, you know, the heat behind you will be your timer. So it'll be curious, but it is an opportunity for folks to be competing again. Also tomorrow is an inter-squad. It's really a partners dual meet for shooting sports. And again, it's not what we normally have with everybody being able to come and watch, but we are encouraging competition and inter-squad competition and trying to create opportunities for people to join in community with each other from an athletic context. So know that's how things are kind of shaping up as it relates to homecoming. Now let's talk COVID, as that's what started all this. We're doing pretty well. That we're staying in the single digits. We're continuing to make adjustments in physical spaces and environments as a way to accommodate the reality in which we live. Our maintenance folks at this moment are over in our old tennis courts setting up the outdoor dining that we talked about a few weeks ago. Still having some supply chain challenges, but they're going to go ahead and set up what we have. If you were around campus, you'd see IT and maintenance, changing labs out and reconfiguring spaces as we learn more information or as needs change based on our students or our faculty. So know that we're continuing to evolve in the situation we're in, and we're continuing to serve our students. For many of you, we've talked about modality, and that to start the fall semester, we pushed quite a few classes online, as well as we had several faculty say, hey, I want to be online, which resulted in 40+% of our classes this semester being online. As students start registering for the spring, we're going to pull that back. We're still going to have some online classes, but it's going to be closer to, say, 25% as opposed to the 50% that it is this fall. We know that for some of our students that are unable to physically get here, that may put a little bit of pressure on them, but it was a decision that we made working with faculty and colleagues that we really wanted to increase the number of face-to-face opportunities on campus. Please know that as I mentioned with the maintenance and IT, they're doing that safely, that we're still doing social distancing and masks and creating enough spaces for all of those face-to-face classes. We have had to reduce some of the enrollment caps to accommodate that, but we believe we're in really good shape there. Students received the schedule, and over the next few weeks they're meeting with advisors, and then we'll start registering early November. Now let's talk about November. It's maybe sounding weird, but we need to start talking about this semester pivoting and then coming to a close. November 20th will be our last face-to-face class. It's a Friday. It's a Friday before the week of Thanksgiving. The weekend of November 21st and 22nd, we will be asking students to check out and go home. Then there's always the yes, but I can't go home because. Please know we know that there will be some yes, buts. From a rule standpoint, we're checking everyone out the weekend of the 21st and 22nd. And if you're supporting one of my students or working with any of my students, that needs to be the mindset that if I can go home, I'm going home. And if I can't go home, please assume we'll take care of them. What we're working out over the next 3 weeks is figuring out, okay, what are all those exceptions? I can't go home because of a border's closed. I can't go home because I don't have sufficient internet in the community in which I live. All of those kinds of things are options. Students are going to receive all of this information on Monday, and then there are going to be very specific, who do you talk to if you need an exception? I share all that by way of saying, if you feel students getting anxious and you feel the angst going up, help them drop the shoulders and say, well, in your communication, didn't it tell you who to talk to if you need an exception? Well, go talk to that person. Go advocate, right? We're teaching students how to advocate for themselves. Advocate that, hey, I need an exception because. And that we'll work through those exceptions. And then once we know how many we have, then we'll lay out the food options. We'll lay out the social options, and we'll keep working through this. And very similar to how we did on summer, we assume the same thing will happen in December and January, as some families in some situations will continue to be the primary caregiver, even though the university is closed. So the end of the semester, November 20th, we pivot to online. 21st, 22nd, we'll start shutting down the residence halls and encouraging folks to go home. And then we'll finish out this semester over the next 2 weeks, do finals, and then a virtual commencement that third week in December. Now let's talk about the spring. Many of you saw that we announced earlier this week that we're going to eliminate spring break, push this semester back a week. We're still going to have a 3-day holiday over Easter, but we will do programming on campus on Easter for those that can't go home. So let's unpackage that. So we push back. New students will arrive here. They can start moving in their residence halls on Saturday, January 23rd. Returning students Sunday, the 24th, and classes start January 26th. We'll roll up to Easter. We'll have Good Friday. We do not have classes. We'll do Easter programs here for those that may not be able to go home. And then we will push through to the end of the May semester without a spring break. Yes, but students need a spring break. I can't argue with you because I agree with you. Students need a spring break. We have to balance spring break with the ability to finish the semester, and it's too much a real possibility. It's a curious way to say that. The idea that folks go away for spring break and then come back, from a risk assessment for student health, we just said we just can't do it. So we'll figure out as we hit about week 10 and students and faculty and everybody's going, we need a little bit of a break. We'll figure out ways to pump the brakes once in a while and give those releases so that they can successfully complete the semester and do well. That's what we're expecting as it relates to November and December. That's what we're expecting as it relates to January through May. And I wouldn't say we're out of the woods or any of those kinds of things, because I'm not that Pollyannish, but I'm definitely that optimistic that we have amazing faculty, staff, students that have all kind of leaned into this situation and they're going, we're going to figure this out. We're not only going to survive, we're going to thrive. And even a few students yesterday were saying, we're going to win. All right, I don't know what winning at COVID looks like, but if that's the mindset, I'm good with that. I'm good with winning. Last piece for me, right before I set up and started going today, I saw two families about 50 feet apart on campus tours walk in front of the office. Know that makes me smile. The idea that seniors are getting out and able to do college visits, because as you know, there for a while we didn't know what that was going to look like. And as I think most folks know, our admission folks haven't been able to visit high schools and aren't really able to get into those spaces. And I completely understand. If I were a high school superintendent or principal, I wouldn't want them in there either, because who knows what they're bringing with them. But it's cool to see people visiting campus, and it's cool to think about the longevity of this institution, and the fact that even though we're in a rough patch and we're hitting some bumpy roads, there's also a sense of continuity, that there's a sense of, yeah, we're going to thrive and we're going to recruit the next class, and the next class, just as we're celebrating the class that graduated 50 years ago, all on the same week. So it's good to be here, and and I hope that our alums, our families, our students are proud of the University of the Ozarks. So I'm going to check and see if we have some questions, comments, see where we are, and then we'll see where we need to go. All the positive notes. I like the happy Friday. Yeah, happy Friday. I have to get one of the shirts. I don't know if these are in the bookstore. Hey, speaking of the bookstore, I saw somewhere today that Valerie put out a 20% discount on anything in the bookstore. Go shopping. Will students have a place for storage when they leave in November? Okay, a couple of thoughts. That if they're currently if they're living on campus with us and they're staying in the same space for the spring, we'll figure out what needs to unplug, how to leave the space safely, but they leave everything there. If there's a change that's going to happen, let's say I'm in one space now, but I'm going to return in another space, Typically, we like to have the student move before they leave so that everything's where it's supposed to be in January. Now, if a student is off campus and they need a place to store things over the winter break, I'd ask, let's see here, I'd ask them to reach out to Tyler Mosby in Student Affairs. Tyler doesn't know that I just volunteered him. I'll let him know that I volunteered him and that the student can reach out to him and talk about what storage looks like. We have storage on campus. It's somewhat limited, but we do have storage. So if they're in their current space, they're just going to leave stuff there. If they're moving, we want them to move before they leave. And if that doesn't apply, we'll work with them and talk through how we can get them access to storage. Questions about, will there be staggered move out times like the beginning of the semester? Yes, maybe not quite as staggered. And that's where over the next week, or excuse me, over the next month, the housing folks, the RAs are all working through those options with students. And some of us have more flexibility than others. If I'm a parent 90 minutes, it might be easier to schedule that than say I'm a parent 5 hours. So we're wanting to work with you all to say, hey, what do you need? And all that will be going through your student, working with their RA to get that scheduled. We also think that in many ways that our students, after being here, they're going to be a much better conduit of that to say, hey, mom, dad, here's how it's going to work. And by the way, I'm only taking a bag. I'll meet you in the parking lot. So hopefully they're not needing to take too much home. It's the laptop, their books, well, the books are online, and then going headed to the parking lot. Hey, speaking of books, I know this is a little bitty detail. We pushed electronic digital for the fall as a safety precaution. We're going to pull back from that, and it'll be closer to more like 80% paper, 20% online. Now that we've had a chance to work with students and figure out how to best navigate getting materials in the current pandemic. Oh, great. Thanks, Paulette. Yeah, to clarify, and I'll clarify that again, that when we close down in November, our assumption is that, they make their bed, they clean their room, they just take enough of what they need back at home, because we want them back here on Sunday the 24th, keying in to a nice clean bed, ready to start the spring semester. And it's no, they do not need to move out. They're just going home to visit you guys for 8 weeks, and then we want them back to finish their for most of them it's to finish their first year, and for the rest it's you got it. So no, I'm sorry if I didn't speak clearly there. Other questions, comments? All right. That as I've said, and I guess I won't tire of saying it, that all things considered, we're doing pretty well. That we're staying in the single digits as it relates to COVID. We've got it down to a little bit of an art, a little bit of a science of moving people in and out of quarantine. It's not always working, but it's working pretty well. We're starting to talk about the shutting down for the semester and then reopening for the spring. When in doubt, if something's not quite right and something's not working for you or your student, just reach out to us, and we'll try to make a game day decision or make a modification. And that we're going to continue to treat our students the way we have since this started. If we need to move into primary care and helping whatever the student needs to help them be successful, we'll slide into that space. If they can go home and have that support from you all over the holiday, then that's great space. For our alums, thanks for celebrating us with us this week with a virtual homecoming. Um, we'll be back in the ground in the fall, or at least I sure hope so. I miss the events. I miss the handshakes and the hugs and the stories, and long to have those back in the fall as well. And continue to pray for us. Continue to pray for all the researchers and all the doctors and everybody around the world that are trying to find a vaccine and a solution to COVID-19. And pray for our country. And know that we appreciate everything you do to support us. And if we can be of support to you, please give us the opportunity. So take care. God bless. And it's a great day to be an Eagle. Bye-bye.